Welcome to License Your Music's YouTube. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is going to be a different episode today. We're not going to do a podcast episode. We're going to do a product review or several products. We'll be discussing the differences between my go-to pianos when I'm composing, and I have three in particular. We're also going to compare them side by side sonically so you can hear the differences unprocessed, and then we'll add some reverb and I can show you what they all sound like side by side with reverb and explain why I have my preferences and what my go-tos are. We'll go through that, and you can of course decide what works for you, but at least you get to hear it and see it. Now I work in Logic, but that doesn't mean that this won't apply. If you work in Pro Tools or Reason or Cakewalk or whatever it might be, you can apply all of this. So all right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen, and it's going to take a second to initialize. So what I've done is I've loaded up 4 patches. I've got the default patch, the Steinway Grand Piano that comes with Logic. I've got Cinematic Studio Piano here. Okay, and let me make sure that this is, my face isn't in the way. Okay, good, it's not. All right, so, and then I've got Keyscape and Alicia Keys. So let's start with the default setting for piano that Logic just loads up when you load up the system. I'll stop by saying all of this, I didn't add this. Logic automatically added this. It automatically puts it in. So I didn't do anything here. All right, actually, the only thing I did was compressor to get us some volume here. I brought the threshold down to -30, the ratio in 3:1. I lowered the makeup on this. On the other ones, I increased the makeup gain a bit because they were too soft. I wanted to make sure you guys could hear them. So that's all I did here. All right. That's pretty darn good. For a default setting that loads with a program that I think this costs $200 now, it used to be free, but it's really a good sounding piano. It's bright, it cuts through it, it sounds real. So that's what you want in a piano. You don't want anything that's poorly mic'd and sounds fake. So that's a good option. If you have Logic and you want to use the Steinway Grand, it's a good option. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, Cinematic Studio Piano, which also called CSS, or well, CSS is Cinematic Studio Strings, and they have Cinematic Studio Piano. I just love this piano, and it's as it loads up with no reverb, got the close mic, the main mic, the room mics, and it's preset. I didn't touch any settings here. Let's have a listen. Logic's. Now, to my ear, Cinematic Studio Piano just sounds better. It sounds richer. It sounds fuller. It sounds more just, I can visualize a pianist sitting in front of me, and I can see the movement with my ears. I can hear the movement of the hands. It's a little bit next level compared to Logic's piano, and that's definitely my favorite. My go-to for scoring and trailer composing is Cinematic Studio Piano. But I have used these others. Let's listen to Keyscape LA Grand. Not bad. So Keyscape also sounds really bright. It has more of a brighter tone to it than the Cinematic Studio Piano. And it also has all these different options. You've got Rhodes, clavinets, wing upright, Celestes, Wurlitzers, duos, Chimatron. There's all sorts of options. This is a great resource to have if you're a library composer, a film composer, a TV composer, just to have on hand, to have these options for different leads that might come your way if you're trying to license your music, which is what I teach at licenseyourmusic.com. If you're trying to do that, then Keyscape, I think, is a must-have because you can just hop around, and for the cost, it's a bit costly. I think it's $350 or $400, but you know, one license is going to recoup that money, and just the versatility of Keyscape alone is worth the expense. So I highly recommend Keyscape. Now let's compare them side by side, what we've got so far. Logic. So it also, the decision to use which one to use also comes down to what else is going on in your mix. Because some of these are going to sit in certain frequencies, and if that frequency is already crowded, you might want something that's a little brighter, punchier, like the Keyscape or the Steinway Grand, and not as lush as the Cinematic Studio. But Cinematic Studio, it just has a realness to it, and it's still bright enough, I think, that it would cut through. But let's go to Alicia Keys, because this is a go-to for a lot of people in a lot of productions. I think the attack is much gentler on the delivery on the keys. That attack is much gentler with Alicia Keys, so it could work for the right project. Let's listen to them side by side. We'll go in order, starting with the Logic. They're all good options, but hopefully you can hear those subtle differences between them, and that can help you decide which one to either invest in, or just see the differences between the two so you can properly compare them side by side. What I'd like to do now is turn on my reverb for all of these. So I loaded up, I like to route my reverb in a bus. I send it to an aux bus. I load it up in bus 10, and then I load up Valhalla Room reverb. I just love this reverb, and out the gate it comes like this, and all I do is bring that mix down a bit, bring that depth up so the room's bigger, especially with piano. I really like that almost auditorium sound, and I love the Valhalla Room. It has a really nice sound without adjusting any of this, and you can get really granular with it, but I just like these default settings. So with that said, I'm going to turn these all on, and we're going to listen to them with reverb, starting with Logic. See, the Alicia Keys, I would want to EQ that a bit because it feels a bit muddy in the mids, in the mid frequencies. Keyscape just has a really nice sound to it. And Cinematic Studio, it's so nicely mic'd and tracked, and the performance is really solid. You don't really hear much of the noise from the piano. You hear a little bit more of that in Keyscape. But Keyscape does have other settings and other pianos you can choose from if you wanted to experiment with that. And really, again, Logic is a great option. I mean, that just sounds great. It sounds great. There's nothing wrong with that. So all great options to have. Yeah, so we've got the Logic, we've got Cinematic Studio Piano, you've heard Keyscape LA Grand. Let me just show you something in Keyscape here so you can see what they offer, because there's so many cool sounds in here. And if you go to like the Rhodes. I mean, how nice is that? It's just great. I love it. Wow, that's cool. I love that. mean, suddenly I'm back in the Old West or at the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. That's just so cool. They've got so many things in here to choose from depending on what you're creating. You know, you can get lost in it for hours. So we don't want to do that here. Hopefully that, you know, this can show you the differences and help you out. Hopefully this is helpful. I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out the video. If you like what you hear, what you've learned here, please subscribe. Leave us a comment below. Let us know what you thought. Come by licenseyourmusic.com, where I teach artists how to license their music for film, TV, ads, and trailers, and video games, and more, so that you can do what I've done and earn a good living doing what you love. As a musician, as an artist myself, I know that struggle. I know all about it. It's real. And I'm here to help you reach the next level in your career. So come by licenseyourmusic.com, grab our free guide, get on our list, and we're happy to be doing more of these. We'll see you next time. Stay cool. Peace.